Hey YouTube, in this video I'm going to be doing a deck profile of my updated Prism deck. So Prisms are actually, they've been around for a while now. They debuted like summer 2 years ago, 2013. They kind of have been one of the more premier Bermuda decks since they came out. They were the first break ride, or they were the first deck, or I guess Bermuda Triangle was the first clan to get a break ride in the English Vanguard, and it just happened to be a Prism. So the lineup hasn't really changed all that much. Like, they changed slightly. You could actually run the deck differently with Avon, and I forgot the other one's name, but the ones that gained 3k every time something was returned, that was the Diva, the Duo era for Prisms, in my opinion. But other than that, like, Prisms have stood the test of time in terms of, like, their deck didn't really fail or fall apart or get overwhelmed, kind of like Coral and Pacifica. They kind of went away, and then even Velvet Voice Ranger was really good for a long time, but then those decks all kind of went away once duos came in. They're just kind of better, but Prism's always kind of stood strong in terms of all that happening. But it's nice to see that we got a little bit of a boost, actually quite a bit of a boost. They did get a new stride unit, so we will be focusing on that today. But as far as the main deck, it didn't change all that much. It's still 4 Prism Promise Labrador and 4 Prism Image Vert. So they still run the Break Ride Vert, and they still run the 4 Labrador. So that's the grade 3 lineup, didn't change. Where it did actually change is with the grade 2 lineup. So they did get a new Celtic. So they got Prism Promise Princess Celtic, and what it does is when it hits a Vanguard, when its attack hits a Vanguard, you can special counterblast a Prism, and then you can choose one of your regards, bounce it to the hand, and draw a card. So it's pretty good. I would say run 3 or 4 of it. As you can see, I am running 4 of it. And then for other alternate grade 2s, I am running 3 of Lumiere. This is the 12k for Prisms. It's a lot better and more reliable than the GB1 12ks that have came out since Stride started, but I still run it. You don't have to. I mean, you can actually don't run it at all. You can run like more of the other cards that I have, but in this case I have 2 of the original Celtic. This card is actually pretty essential. When you send it up, you can Soul Blast 1 to give something 4k, so that helps you hit numbers. And then the last grade 2 is the Prism Duo Slanny. So 2 of her, since she's a duo, she does have the white and black one, and then she's also a Prism. So she works in Prism for the special counterblast. So her effect is really simple. When she's placed on R, you can counterblast 1 to send something returned to the hand. So she works really well with Celtic and the grade 1 equivalent. But if you didn't want to run the 12k, I would recommend running 4 of her, or maybe 4 of her and 3 of the original Celtic. So that was one of my lineup at one point where I was testing the deck, but I decided to put some of these back in. So there's a grade 2 lineup. Moving on to grade 1, I am running the 1 Colima and the 3 Prism Duo Area. It's probably better to run 4 Area. Area is the Prism Sentinel that debuted with the duos last year. But I am still running the same lineup. It works fine. The deck is not that much counterblast heavy compared to some of the other Bermuda Triangle decks, so you can get away with running the Quintet Wall. 3 Prism Image Clear. She is the grade 1 with the same effect as the Celtic. So when she's sent up, you can Soul Blast 1 to give something 4k. And then another new card that they got was the new Letty. She used to be the 11k booster for Labrador, but now her new effect is a whole lot better. So when she's returned from a rearguard circle and your Vanguard has Prism in the name, you can unflip 1, soul charge 1, and then you get to choose another one of your other units and give it 4k, but then you cannot normal call Letty back down. So that way you can't like infinite loop this thing, because basically you're unflipping and soul charging and giving something 4k. So that's like really, really good. So I found 3 of her to be just the perfect number. 4 is a little bit not needed, in my opinion, because oftentimes you'll need to loop something twice, which would usually be clear for the plus 4k to 2 things, or plus 8k total. So that's why 3 and 3 of each plus 2 of the Celtic is really good lineup. And then a really important card that I found this deck relies on a lot is the Prism Duo Loretta. So Loretta is a limit break enabler for Bermuda Triangle, and she just so happens to be a Prism and a Duo. And because it's Prism, and because the deck is kind of slow with Labrador at being a limit break, this helps a lot. Like, especially if you have to ride Labrador first and not Vert, then you lose access to the break ride that whole game, but you still get to start spamming Labrador's skill, or her plus 10k plus 1 critical, and that's just really good against the opponent. So I found limit break enablers are really good with cards like this. So that's why I am running 4 of them in there, so you can get to that limit break as fast as possible. And then the trigger lineup is kind of where I feel Prisms always seem to be shortchanged. So they still have to run the draw trigger, and then some random critical trigger that's not a Prism, and then everything else is Prism. So the 4 draws, 8 critical, and then the 4 heals. So every trigger is Prism except for these 4 criticals. So I don't know why they didn't print a new Prism critical. They should have given them one in this set, or even like back when Duos came out. I don't understand why they did that, but anyway, because of that, you have to run it like this, and it's really annoying because a lot of their cards are special counterblast heavy like that, and Celtic is also like that. So it's kind of a pain, but oh well. And then the starter that I am running is, I'm sticking with the original starter that they've had from all along. Koro, in my opinion, has always just been better than the other one that they got with Duos, which is basically the one that when the attack hits, that it boosts, you can send it up to your hand. This one's better because if you need to clear, like if you're low on counterblast and you can only send 1 thing up, but you need to send 2 things up, just so you can get the 3 open spots or whatever, you can basically send 1 and then she'll just go up automatically, so then you have your 3 open spots. So that's why I just feel Core is just better than the other one, but it really just depends on whichever one you feel more comfortable. It's just personal preference, I guess. So for the Stride deck, I am running 4 of the new Prism Promise Princess Labrador because I did pull 4 of these. So I'm just running all 4 of them. Her effect is okay. It's similar to how Prisms always worked with the plus 5k. And then when what I've found is that when I use this, the really good thing about this card, which in my opinion, I'm so glad it was actually worded this way, is that you do not need to have Labrador in the heart in order to actually stride and use this card effectively. Unlike other cards that were basically like Shiroyuki, for example. Shiroyuki stride, you need to have Shiroyuki in the heart in order to get the full benefit of the effect. But with this, you can actually be sitting on Vert, waiting for limit break, so you can do break ride, or just to get extra grade 3. You can also already stride into Labrador, and then you can still just use Labrador's effect. So I really like that they didn't word it where you need Labrador in the heart. You just have to have a Prism in the heart, so it works with Vert just as well as it does with Labrador. So that's really good that they made the card that way. And then I am running 1 Legendary Prism Duo Nectaria. You can run 2 of this, but it doesn't do, like, it does the bounce on hit, and then you get to call something and give it 5k. That's the Prism style effect that she has. But I just found that 1 of her is enough, especially if you need to clear up the field to get plus 4k, you need to send like 2 things up. So for that reason, I am running 1 Amoris. So both of these are from the Fighters collection. And then the last one, of course, is the 2 Olivia, just in the event where you can actually use the effect. It's pretty good, 2nd stride or so, or even 3rd stride, just to attack with big numbers. And she works really well with sending all your like clears and Celtic and Letty's back up. So that's why Olivia's actually pretty good in here as well. So anyway, guys, that was the updated Prism deck. Let me know what you think of the Prisms overall and how they stack up against the new, like the new duos, how they stack up against Mirror, and those kind of things. And as always, guys, hope you enjoyed the video, and stay tuned for more Cardfight Vanguard videos, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.